Hello, it's Captain Glyn here, and today I'm just going to be doing a quick voiceover for this video. This is a video of me taking out my Herc in Aves in the solo PvE zone, and in this video I'm going to be running through how to fight the Bellona. So here I'm just preparing to engage the Bellona. And typically where you want to be to start the engagement is right on the stern. This gives you the most maneuverability starting out in the battle, and you can engage with a bit more safety because obviously you're going to be running a ship that's considerably lower BR than the Bellona, than the third rate you're engaging. So here I just overshot a little bit, so I'm just pulling back to get to that optimal position to tag. Just sorting out my positioning, and then I'm engaging the Bellona now, and that's the battle set. So as soon as I join in, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to switch to double ball on all sides, on the stern and the bow. So I'm all set, ready to engage. As I said before, this gives you the best starting position against the enemy, because what you're going to want to do is just stern camp the Bellona and work down the core. It's the quickest and most effective way of engaging these larger targets. So starting out, we're just going to go straight to full sail, and what we're going to try and do is run in a kind of slope pattern against him, because he's going to use that elite turn rate to turn over, and you can see he's pretty much already there. So at this point you really want to increase the steepness of that angle and try and outrun the guns, but often you won't be able to, especially at the distance that you're at. Thankfully in this instance he wasn't loaded in time, but all the same I prepped my sails for potential chaining. I went down to battle sail, so depowered, and then pretty soon you'll see me turn both my masts away from him. I think I do anyway. No, I think I've pretty much guessed at this point that he's not in a position to engage me. He's tacking back the other way to get back onto my side, but at this point I've got the advantage on him because I'm on his stern. And notice that I'm not really, I'm keeping my speed to a minimum here. I'm not at full sail, well, at least now I am, because I want to chase his stern, but just in that initial setup I wanted to be in control of my speed and the speed that I was doing. So when you're trying to position on his stern, you really don't want to overshoot him or get into his gun sights early, because that can mess up that first initial contact that you make with him. And this is my first time doing a Bellona in a couple of days, so you'll have to apologise for some pretty rusty shots that I make against his stern. Even though he's a pretty big target, I think I still miss a few, but my broadsides start to get a bit better as the battle progresses, as a warm-up. So I'm dropping to 100 with this shot, which is probably a bad idea, because I missed some of my shots, but most of them connect, and I'm able to take down his stern. And notice I've overshot slightly here, but that's okay, because I've got enough room to turn back out, and most of his shots would miss, because I am a smaller target, and more often than not, even if you're in a pirate frigate, you'll be able to absorb less damage if you're in a position like that where you come round and face something like this. See, my shots are bouncing off its side. Not a very good start. As I say, as I progress through the battle, my shots get gradually better. So now what I'm aiming to do is stay on his stern, but also what I really want him to do is tack back the other way. But more often than not, you'll find that the ships that you're chasing won't, and they'll end up coming back up into the wind. And I think I do run through the process of avoiding this. But what I do here is not the common practice for avoiding that situation. As I say, a bit rusty starting out in this battle, so this is another mistake that I've made, where I've decided that I'm going to wear the wind. You'll see why that was a mistake, because I've absorbed a good proportion, a good portion of his broadside there, which really I didn't want to do at all. So to try and salvage what I've just done, I'm coming back over to get that stern rake on them. And also, what I'll have to do pretty soon is attack the wind, as you can see. This is going to put me in a not so great position because the distance between my ship and his is too great, so he has a very wide arc to hit me again, which he will. And quite hard if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So at this point I've launched my repair, because I wasn't expecting to take quite that much damage in the initial few broadsides. And now I'm back in this position where I was before, and now I'm going to attack the right way. So before I wore the wind, I typically use 100 meters convergence for the first few broadsides, and then I switch to 250, which gives me the residual damage, but as I said, here I'm going to maneuver in the correct way to mitigate what usually happens, where you'll have the Bellona, and rather than attacking back and forth, he'll just continue up into the wind. So what you want to do is get slightly behind him and above him, and just tack the wind with him. But you want to make sure that you're maintaining your speed quite well, that you're balancing your speed between maybe 6 knots, 5 and 6 knots when you're in this position, but then as soon as he's round and he's completed his tack, you should go straight to full, unfurl everything, and start chasing that stern again. And pretty soon you will start to see results. So I'm still chasing him, trying to get to that point where he'll start turning into my broadside rather than turning away from it. And I believe so I'm doing considerable damage, but I think I'll probably decide soon enough that I'd rather switch to 250 to get the full length of his ship in. So here we go again. You see he's turned up into the wind, so he's pretty much against the wind now and at a standstill. And what I really don't want to do is overshoot. I'm a bit late to depower here, but I manage it quite well. So my speed is coming down. I'm at full sail against the wind, and this is okay, because he's pretty much in the same position and he isn't going anywhere. I've reduced my speed practically to nothing, but you'll notice that on my skipper I'm straddling the wind, so I'm making sure that I'm not quite in the wind, but I have the ability to gain power where I need it. And just a little ginger movements, moving up gingerly, waiting for him to complete his tack. Because what I really don't want him to do now is switch onto the other tack and start going the other way, because then I would have to wear away and avoid his broadside. And I think this is the point where I can keep following his stern around, because he's going downwind from me. Again, it's just a case of chasing that stern around, making sure that he doesn't catch you with his broadside. My repair is finished. Finished a long time ago, but back to almost full health, not quite, but I'm almost there. So now you can see he's wearing the wind, and what I really want to do now is bring my power down, bring my knots down again to about 7 knots maybe even. I might keep it at 9. Coming up into the wind, and see I'm at that point where I'm not losing too much speed, but have that ability to come back when I need to. So now I've switched to 250 meters for the last half of this call, so I can get the most out of my shots. Chasing his stern around again. And you can pretty much do this with primarily the pirate frigate. I sometimes use a trincomalee, but mainly now I use the Herc because it's much more nimbler and 2 guns at the stern there for no reason. If you do have the Herc TLC, then I do recommend using that because it seems to perform a lot better than any of the other ships that are being used at the moment. That's not to say that the pirate frigate isn't any good, but from my experience switching between the Trink, the pirate frigate and the Herc, I found that I perform best in the Herc, and the BR is lower, so the rewards are slightly better. So again, just rinse and repeat, chasing the stern, crossing over, hitting him again. And pretty soon he'll start to take water, so you'll start to feel the battle turning in your favour. Crossing his stern again, hoping that he'll tack over, but if not, then that's fine. We don't necessarily need him to, because obviously we can, as I've shown, we can straddle the wind. Just managing my speed now. Making sure I keep enough speed to tack when I need to. I'll take my shot because more bounce. bounces. So I've made the decision to tap the wind now with him. And again, what I'll do is I'll just keep myself in that position on the wind where I have the ability to gain speed and also manage my speed and bring my speed down if needs be. And I'm making sure that I don't encourage him to tack the opposite way into me, because then I would have to do a whole host of other things, but it's looking good so far. So at this point I'm pretty confident that I'm winning. Pretty certain that he's taking on water, or is about to, after the next broadside. And again, using double I find is more effective than just ball, although you do run through more ammunition, but I think double is the best way to make sure that you make the most of the time and that you've got enough time to spare, so that the ship can sink and you can be comfortable knowing that you'll get the loot afterwards. Again, not quite loaded, so I'll just take the shot because I need the damage. And at this point, I'm not sure if it's now or maybe it's the next turn. Yes, so he's starting to come toward me, which I've just noticed, so I need to bring myself back around. But what you'll see is I'll land myself in a bit of a difficult position where my speed, I lose too much speed to complete the tack as quickly as I normally would. And I'm umming and ahhing about the sails. Sort of contributes towards the poor attack, but I managed to absorb all of his broadside and not take too much damage, which is another perk of the smaller ships, is that they're so small and narrow that the Bellonas struggle to hit them. So now I'm just trying to make my way up and hit him with those last broadsides. Happy with those stone guns. So I'll fire them off, get rid of them. They're used to me. A couple of bounces there. Not too happy with that. I think what I might do now is, while I'm deciding whether or not to wear or attack, I think I'm committing to the wear. Yep, that's indeed what I'm doing. Because at this point I'm confident enough knowing that he's taking on water and that his speed will be reduced, so I can come around quite happily and not take any hits from him. So I'll start to make my way up to him. But he's quite tightly woven into the wind here, so I've got to try and manage that and not lose too much speed, and also not go into his sights, which I think I'm quite fortunate here, because he is just so slow able to make my way up gradually. And at this point I decide I've lost too much of the angle on the wind, so I'll tack over using what's left of my speed. A bit early to turn my foremast, but I'll correct that. I'll bring it back a little bit just to get that angle that I need. It pushes me around quite happily, and then not taking the shot here, but just getting ready because I have a feeling he's going to line up for me. Just getting rid of the stern cannons and shooting off a couple of pot shots at his stern, just to get that last bit of core out of him. Loose. And then it's just a case of posting up, depowering, bringing that speed down, and waiting for the next reload. But if I'm right, I don't think I'll need it. I'll certainly use my little guns on my top deck. Bounce them, obviously. Beautiful. And more pot shots on the stern, just to add insult to injury, salt in the wounds, and a full release. And I'll send my drone up to capture the last moments, and there we go, he's dead. No real stress involved other than perhaps in the beginning trying to mitigate the shots that might come your way, but that's just a case of maintaining your power, making sure you protect your sails, and you can get pretty good loot off of the ships when you do it like this.